they put bumpers on cars.
They do put bumpers on cars.
There are bumpers. Like big bumpers, like pillow bumpers.
Like bumper car bumpers.
Like Hoka shoes. Like the
yeah.
sole spreads out really wide if we had that on. What? If we had that on cars. Slightly more obvious.
Turtle. Turtle.
We need to
Should we have a verse though? Yeah, we should have a. You want to stop your camera before we.
It's fine. What if I say something funny and then it's an edit?
What if we say something smart?
That's, yeah, 50-50 that happens.
It always happens.
Sometimes later than sooner.
Yeah,
a lot.
true.
So I think I just I just speak, I just say things, and there's a lot of words that come out. Man, not necessarily mean.
You should stop filming.
Oh wow. Oh wow. Oh okay. Okay.
Hi guys, welcome back to Teen Talks. It's been a minute, and I'm
few
still.
minutes.
It's been a lot of minutes. I'm still Sky, and this
And
is
an aspiring pastor. I learned today.
Yeah, possibly. You never know what's gonna happen.
Pastor in training. What did you say exactly?
I said Sarah's protege and pastor, up and coming pastor.
Up and coming
is what I
pastor.
said.
That made my day.
Yeah.
It seriously did. So now we have it on live television. I mean,
have a knack for
pre-recorded YouTube videos.
No, this is live television. We're doing this right now.
Totally.
Yeah.
And I'm Sarah. And we were talking earlier also about how you can't trust the media. So do what you will with our conversations.
I feel like no, I can't commit to putting a bunch of like funky backgrounds again because the Christmas episode was so hard to do.
Do you think YouTube's gonna cut us because I said we can't trust the media? Did I break one of their policies?
Maybe we'll get flagged.
Okay.
That'd be wild.
We would feel like we succeeded at something.
Maybe
We're being persecuted for righteousness.
I don't know, but like we're doing so good.
We are.
Maybe they won't pay us anymore. Not like they pay us.
They don't
to
pay us
begin
now,
with.
so it's perfect.
So
okay.
it's fine.
Well, we can get more attention because like it's really trendy to be like a victim, and we can complain about it.
That sounds like the move.
Yeah, get money for it.
Sue all of you.
We should probably move on.
Anyways,
but it's fun.
So true.
So happy to be back.
Okay, we're gonna be talking about the Sabbath today
because clearly we both need a mental break.
We literally need a day of rest. It's summer though, so I feel like every day kind of feels like a day of rest, but I think like I'm not resting with God now.
Okay, to be honest, and I realize you're on track and I'm gonna get us off track, like the heat makes it really hard to rest.
That's very
so
good
like
point.
it's nice, but like my nights are like I just wake up, I'm like I can't sleep anymore, it's too hot.
I wish summer break was a very long spring break because I think even fall.
Yeah,
because
I want to be in air conditioned buildings right now.
Exactly, that's so true. No, like we had to figure out how to turn on the AC before recording this because like.
Oh right, I thought you meant at your house.
And well, yeah, that's necessary.
Yes,
but
we
like,
did.
Sarah was glistening a little bit because it was getting real hot in here. It's still really hot.
So nice.
What?
How women glisten.
True.
It's like it's just a feminine trait.
Yeah.
I think.
Men don't. Men sweat.
Yeah.
Women glisten.
They do. They glow.
So many hot takes, not about the Sabbath right now.
Yeah.
But like we're
But you're talking about resting with God, so that's the thing.
True. Very true. Yeah. But yeah, I just think I don't know. How do you rest with God, Sarah? How do you make that work?
I struggle, to be honest. I feel like we probably have recorded this like 18 times, and I've said that and been embarrassed that we never aired it. I don't know if that's true, but might be
possible.
But it's hard, and honestly, I know a lot of pastors, they write their sermons on Saturdays. So then traditionally pastors get Mondays off, but then
interesting.
I mean, it's like anybody though. Your days off you spend working and catching up on the rest of life. So what does that even mean? And then you say as a pastor, but also I work 3 jobs. So
right.
I mean, I know like you have school and work and different things. So like we're all juggling so much. Definitely. It's hard.
Yeah.
But I think what you said was key about resting with God rather than just resting, because it's like what is restful, and I don't mean to be like high and lofty or whatever, but like we were talking earlier about how turning on Netflix and binging all day, that's really not restful, and we think oh, it's a day off, I didn't work, But then, like, I don't know, I just have like this icky feeling like, oh, I wasted a whole day, or I played video games all
Very
day. It's
true.
fun. And then I'm like, what did I do with my life?
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I'll quit after like the third day and be like, okay, that was great. We're done now for a
Moving
while.
on. I agree.
Yeah.
I definitely feel like I'm a crafty person, and I feel different when I like spend a day like working on a project versus like just sitting and watching TV. When I'm doing both, that's peak, because like you're doing twice as much technically.
Yeah.
But I do say like I haven't mastered how to do that with God specifically. Like, is it just thinking about him? Like, what does that entail? Because I don't think,
Yeah.
specifically teenagers, I'm not going to spend an entire day reading the Bible. Like, here and there.
Sure.
But not, I think that's a
Well,
large
and
expectation.
Are you the sort of person that spending the day reading anything is restful?
No, actually.
So that actually makes sense.
Mhm.
Like, that's not a way that it's going to really, that's not a rest day for you.
Yeah. I read when I'm trying to go to sleep because it makes me not want to be awake anymore. So
Right.
that's...
Yeah, well, there's that. But also, you said like you're a crafty person, so
Mhm.
like that would be restful. It's still doing something. It's not like just sitting there. And it's interesting because like the Jews have all the strict laws, you know, for the Sabbath, all the things that you can't do.
Mhm.
And I don't think it's necessarily about not doing things. It's just
Right.
about what is bringing you rest, what is bringing you peace in your life.
Very true. I also really like the point that you brought up earlier about how it's about trusting God as well. Like, there's only, you're supposed to work a certain amount of days so that you like recognize a day. Like, God's gonna, like, if you don't work that day, God still has your back, and he's gonna find a way to provide with you. You don't need to be like burning both ends of your candle.
Yeah. But what that requires, and I think this is where I struggle, it requires you actually work hard the other days.
Very true.
So if you're like slacking off, then in a way you're cheating yourself of the Sabbath. And I think that's probably, I'm like doing self-therapy here. That's probably where I need to focus more and be more disciplined on those other days so that I can take a day to just be.
Interesting.
But I think, okay, so but back to like, how do you rest with God?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't sit and read the Bible all day. I do love to read, actually. And I know there's times when I read the Bible and I'm like, oh, this is good. I'm getting into the story. I'm like, what did David do next? You know, because these kids up to all kinds of stuff.
So
But I think it's more of an awareness that like, hey, I'm with you, God. Like we're doing this together. Like you said, I need to slow down, and you're right. And I'm gonna hang out with you. I have a couple of well, sort of fun examples, because you said, you know, like, but if you just fall asleep.
Right.
And so when I was in high school, I was part of this, it was a Christian choir, a youth choir, and we traveled all over the world evangelizing and singing Disney music, which is basically American evangelism. So, you know.
So true.
But, and, you know, sharing about Jesus. But the choir director, and girls had to have like big curly hair and makeup. So we'd sleep in rollers. And so the choir director was like, so I keep saying, and then we would stay at like with different families would host us. So you have to be a good guest, but also like we had to learn how to navigate, because they didn't want to stay up like and talk to us like as long as they wanted, but we need to get like our sleep and get ready for the next day so that we'd have the energy. And so we'd excuse ourselves if it was a house that had boys and girls staying, like the girls showered for, that was the rule, like because we have to dry our hair and style, you know, put it in the curlers. That's a pain to sleep in curlers. Anyway, but we had to be rested. But the choir director would often tell us sometimes the most spiritual thing you can do is sleep. And then when we get cranky with each other too, he's like, you know, are you getting enough sleep? So I'm like, okay. So it was funny. You know, it was more, it was a joke, but he was real too. Like it was just sometimes like we really need that just to be our best selves.
Right.
Two things. What was the second one I was going to tell you? Oh, so when I was in seminary, I had a class on spiritual discipline, spiritual practices. And one of the things is we had to spend a half day going somewhere out in nature with God. And by ourselves. Like we did group activities where we'd go in a group and then we'd split off. But then it's like, you know, you plan your own retreat. Like what would be good for you? Because some people, you know, it might be a beach, it might be a field with flowers, it might be climb a mountain, you know, like what do you want to do? And I went to some park and I found I hiked a ways out and I found a place by a tree. And I sat down ready to spend time with God, and I had my Bible and I had my journal. Then I fell asleep. And I had to go back to my class with my report. And I told him that I fell asleep. And I felt really bad because, you know, I was out of time to go and make it up and spend another half day. And he's like, God knew you needed it.
You fell asleep for half a day?
That was a couple hours.
Oh, wow.
Well, a half day, 4 hours. I mean, it's not
anything crazy.
I hiked out to the place and, you know. And I think it was also one of those things where it's like we're not supposed to be bringing a book to study or anything. It was really just
Right.
like, just spend time with God. But I told him, and he just smiled. He's like, you needed, God knew you needed it.
Aw.
Sleep. And I was like,
I like that.
okay.
May not be what you traditionally think about spending time with God.
And I think some of it's practice. I think if you get used to like relaxing your body,
Mm-hmm.
because I think some of us, I don't. And so I'm going to pass out because my body's like, bedtime cues.
True.
And if you get used to it, maybe you get better over time, which
Mhm.
just outed myself that I'm still not used to it. I'm not good at just sitting for long periods of time.
Mm. Something you work on and you
It
build.
is. Yeah. But also I think like there's something about like stilling our minds. So it's like letting the worries go and just like sitting and being present with God. Like, hey God, what do you want to speak to me? What, let me dump all my stuff on you, but then let me just like sit and receive. And I think with like your creativity, that's a place. And for me, like when I'm writing music, I think that's one where it's like, I'll sit at the piano. I used to say I pray best at the piano. But it's just like, I'll just sing what comes to mind, or I'll just play and, see what happens. And I think there's something for some of us, it doesn't have to be like quiet time. It might be loud. It might look different. It might be like you're drawing, you're painting, whatever, but like it helps you to focus your mind.
Makes sense. Just calm your inner storm and give you a moment to reflect. And
how have you found ways, like as a college student, away from like a faith community, how do you find ways to rest in God?
I think college life takes a lot of time and energy, and there's not a lot of natural pauses that you have.
Right.
So I really think it's when I do have those moments where I have like a break, I have to spread it out throughout the week. I unfortunately don't have the opportunity to just like spend a whole day being like, I'm just gonna rest and chill out. But I'm very intentional about like, if I have like an hour gap in a class, I'll go and like sit in the park and then just like take a nap, read. Not usually read, but like I'll paint or something. Or even just like sit there and then just like watch people watch. I like people watching. But I think just like even a bathroom break, just taking time to like reset when stuff's getting stressful, has really helped me like keep my sanity when like so much is going on at all times. I will also say, because my college is like an hour away from this church, and on Sundays I come back. It is restful for me to like exercise. I bike to the train station, and after I get on the train, I just like sit on the train and like look out the window for a while. Which I find that very calming.
And even in high school, you did that a lot.
Yeah,
you go for runs, you go for walks. During pandemic, you're like not staying in the house, going for long walks.
Exactly. And Sarah looks at me weird every time after work. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna walk home. She'll offer to like drop me off, and she's like, oh, okay. But that's something that I've found. Just like I'm going somewhere, just gives me time to just like let my brain relax.
Well, it's also funny that I look at you weird because I walk everywhere too. So I'm like, I don't know why I think that you shouldn't.
But yeah, I just think it's important to take a little breather here and there.
Yeah. I think it is important though to invite God to be present.
Right.
And I don't know that that's not limited to Sabbath. That's all of our life. But I think Sabbath in a way, it's like a reminder. It's like the idea of a fast. Have you ever participated in a fast before?
I have not, but I know a lot of people who have.
So the idea is you stop doing something so that the action of stopping something will remind you to do something else. But a lot of us forget that. It's like, okay, we're so focused on I'm not eating.
Right.
Well, why aren't you eating? If you're eating to spend more time praying, then every time you think I'm not eating, pray. And so it's like you're attaching something else to that.
Right.
And it kind of gives you that connection. And I think that the same thing where it's like, okay, if we're trying to do Sabbath to spend more time with God, then, I'm thinking about how to read Sabbath triggers. Let me think about spending time with God.
Very true. I will say that is something that I really like about walking to and from church, because I think it gives me time to either think about the message I just heard when I'm leaving, or I think just like open up, like have a open heart posture as I'm coming to church, because I think a lot of people go to church. Oftentimes that's a part of like their Sabbath ritual.
And they all fight in the car on the way.
Yeah,
and they fight in the car on the way home.
And that's not relaxing. That's not something that I think God intended it for. It's like you need to be in the mindset to receive his message. Sure. Like he's not going to speak to you if you're not listening. Like you have to orient yourself so that he can put something in your brain.
Now, is going to church restful?
For me, yes, personally, because like it's not, it's using a different piece of my brain.
Because I think that's an argument some people make. Well, I shouldn't go to church because that's not, it's about me. I need to rest.
I mean, I guess whatever works for you personally, but like I think that you should go to church because I don't think you're losing anything. Like,
Okay.
and you're gaining an interaction with God that you. It's about God. It helps you. The whole point of the
Okay.
Sabbath is to be with God. So that's a great way to do it, and have a community to do it with you. I think that's the whole point. Is like connecting people on this day that is meant to relax, and it's a unifying factor for everyone to like be at a church with the same religion.
So, fun story. When I was a kid, restaurants were open on Sundays. I'm not that old, although I think my parents' generation, they weren't always. But there's still a mindset like you don't want to do a lot of work.
Right.
So what we would do is we'd put food in the crock pot in the morning, or not crock pot, crock pot, because it cooks all day, right?
Right.
And then you could even invite people over after church, like, hey,
Right.
come hang out, food's ready.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think that's something I miss. Now it's like we all go to restaurants and yeah, that's fine, but then they have to work for us. But this was something
True.
where it's like, just if the mindset is, hey, we all have a rest, like how hard is it to throw your stuff in the crock pot and then just it's there.
That's a great way to do it with God too. You're doing something with people, and you're doing
and you're showing hospitality to God's
exactly.
people. Yeah.
I guess the takeaway is just like behaving in a way that God would want you to behave on this day. Like, just acting out the morals that like overflow when you have God inside of your heart.
Yeah. So we wanted to share a verse. Oh, I can't read. And it is, actually, I think it's Mark 2. Is it Mark 2?
Yes.
That's this first one.
Awesome. So this is Mark 2:27, and I'm going to read till sorry, did I say Mark 7? Mark 2:27 to Mark 2:28. And it says, "Then Jesus said to them, 'The Sabbath was made to meet the needs of people, and not people to meet the requirements of the Sabbath. So the Son of Man is Lord even over the Sabbath.'"
I like that idea, that it's a reminder that God did give the Sabbath to us, and in creation, a week is 7 days, but creation took 6, and God rested as a model for us. But then he said, basically, like, remember the Sabbath to keep it holy. It's for us to rest.
Right.
That if God can get all of his work done in 6 days, so can we.
Literally, he made the entire world. Like,
Yeah.
we can't complain.
But it's also not something that was heavy-handed to like be forced on us, to like torture us. It's really a gift.
So true. So, have a great Sabbath if you're watching this on Sunday, Saturday, whichever day works for you. But glad to have you here with us.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us for this conversation.
Adios.